So what do you think about politics in this country at the moment then?
It's a bit down the pan, isn't it?
I don't think politics in the UK right now is great.
I think it's been quite a roller coaster. It's not very stable.
A bit of a mess. Very, very scandalous.
I don't think that many people know what's going on, and I don't think the parties themselves particularly have an idea of what's going to happen in the future.
When you see on social media, like on Twitter, like it's very one v the other.
It's not a reflection on the young people not being interested in politics. It's a reflection on the politicians, because I feel like they let the people down.
I would say some politicians are in it for the £80,000 salary, like my local one. I don't think he's very much of a critical thinker.
You're on mute. Hi, Pete. You're on mute. There should be.
Okay.
Hi.
We're just getting the camera set up. It's been a bit rushed this morning, so we're still sitting up. How are you? You okay?
Yeah, really good.
So if I turn the camera around, I can introduce you to the class and the cameras. Here we are. So say hello to everybody.
Hi.
Yeah, you say hello to Rebecca as well. Hello. I'll bring you my own experience of choosing my own A-levels. I think we were learning about the House of Lords at the time. And it seemed so important. I had this vivid memory of thinking, why has no one told me this already? Because this seems really important. I should know how my country's governed, and I should know how people can engage and get heard by the government, and that really matters. In a sense, to my mind, more so than almost anything else.
What we're going to work on together over the next 3 weeks this term is how you build a political campaign, a really compelling one. So I'm just going to give you 5 minutes to get up and ask some other people who you're not sat next to what issue matters to them and why it matters. Off you go, 5 minutes to turn around.
Why is it the House of Lords? Why is it the House of Lords? Why is it just men? Tradition. Why? Yeah, and so tradition.
Places are becoming unhospitable. Certain parts of the planet are becoming too dangerous to live in, or they're getting covered in too much trash. Like, imagine how many more houses you could have if you didn't have a landfill.
Let's scrap Barry, put politics in. In a way, maybe all feminism is good feminism, down to a base respect, the issue of equality.
Very undermines. I'm not.
In week 1 of the programme, we're just trying to break down that initial entry point into politics. So we get them fired up and passionate about the issues that matter to them. And then from that point forward, we show them how political decisions impact those issues.
So if we start with that side of the room and you say what issue you care about, and then we'll go around.
Feminism.
Equal marriage rights.
Legalising marijuana.
Yeah.
Poverty.
I would say climate action. I believe people's political opinions and stuff like where they are on the spectrum all comes from their own experiences. So I believe a lot of it's just from people will have problems in their day-to-day life and they will side with something or talk about something that could solve their personal issues. I believe a lot of people are a lot more driven by what they personally have been affected by than the grand scheme of things.
How many of you have changed your consumption habits? For example, stopping buying a specific brand, buying things that I guess align with your values.
I mostly buy my clothes nowadays from charity shops just so I can get secondhand clothing without actually supporting companies such as Next or Primark because they're very involved in sweatshops.
Yeah.
I now only buy fast food and stuff from sort of local independent chicken shops as opposed to big corporation KFC and McDonald's and things because I'd rather support a small independent business. And for me, the best chicken shop in my village in Cottingham is Kismet. It does very good chicken.
End extreme global poverty. No, we're not. Stop moving the goalposts. We're not going just for extreme. We're going for complete poverty. Wow, that is a
You go to 5 privately owned businesses and you say, right, all of you combine to make one public business under every single person. Do you think that will work? Yes. But standardisation of what?
Standardisation on what standard?
You're talking about unifying every single example.
We have a lot of debates in that classroom. If you've been in that classroom, it's a very lively classroom.
In a politics class, inevitably, students choosing it from different backgrounds.
Well, I would say that I'm quite left, quite socialist.
More left than I am right.
I think I'm very left on the political spectrum.
More to the left than I do to the right.
Somewhere in the middle, I think.
I'm definitely sceptical of both sides.
It might be a bit controversial, but I actually quite like Margaret Thatcher's neoliberalism.
I admired Boris Johnson just because he was such a character.
I think as I get older, I'll move more to the centre, but I don't think, obviously certain aspects on the right I agree with, but I've always sat more on the left on the spectrum, political spectrum.
I'd say I can sort of separate someone's political beliefs with the personality, but I feel like politics does mould into your personality, and so if you're like a Nazi, you're gonna be a weirdo.
So, I mean, you have issues where it's usually not that people don't want to listen to each other's views. It's usually to do with one person. Perhaps their identity is so tightly wrapped up with the view they hold, and that they find that when that's being challenged, they feel they themselves are being challenged, and that's difficult to listen to someone in challenging who you are, almost.
The campaign I decided to talk about in the class mainly revolves around LGBT rights and trans equality. This came to my head because recently a statement was released saying Rishi Sunak, our current Prime Minister, is looking to take trans people out of the Equality Act, and being a trans person myself, I don't think that's very fair.
I don't know. I'm not sure what to put for leaders.
Not sure, maybe.
I suppose whichever trans person decides to speak up first.
Yeah, transgender influencers. Not that there are.
There are a few. There's this woman called Dylan who recorded her transition, and recently she's gone to the White House to speak to Biden about trans issues to help him with his campaign.
Interesting.
Yeah.
That's good. Me and Ethan are really friends outside of the classroom, and the people in my circle haven't really had the experiences that Ethan's having, and I've not really got many transgender friends or anything, so it don't come up that much.
Aaron's really lovely, but I don't think he fully understands the whole concept of being trans and what it entails, and especially the medical side of it. And he explained that to me. He was like, I don't really get it. And so I sat down and I explained the concept of gender dysphoria, the science behind it, what causes it. It was really nice to be able to have that conversation with him, because I genuinely felt like I was educating somebody on something, and I really love doing that. It just makes me feel really good to know that I've actually helped somebody understand something.
Have you got similar or different opinions to the people in your class, do you feel?
I do feel like I've got different opinions to them, and I think they are pretty left wing, and I do feel concerned that in the class and in general in society, people with different opinions are kind of shouted down or pressured not to say what they think. I would say that I'm probably centre right, maybe just centrist, but I do have opinions that I disagree with compared to them.
I think every class will always have someone who's perhaps a little bit more on the right, centre-right usually, they tend to take a quieter role in the class because they're perhaps not in a kind of a majority perspective. But then the kind of aim as a teacher, of me as a teacher, is to kind of bring about a culture in that classroom of respect and listening to each other, listening perhaps for many of them the first time they've heard someone actually expressing a view that they don't agree with, that they thought was just wrong, and then they hear that view expressed by somebody else in the classroom and expressed quite rationally and expressed in a way that allows them to see, hopefully, that actually ordinary people hold that view and that's okay. So, and that's kind of the joy of the job of helping students build a wider perspective of inclusion of different views, that there aren't kind of these kind of very different opposed camps, that there is a kind of an opportunity there to bring those ideas together.
No point trying to campaign. Oh my god, that's not the worst
You cannot say mine's bad, look at that.
I'm actually not allowed to write my exams.
You're not allowed?
Can you read
that? Firstly, it's really lovely to see you all in person rather than just from the crowd moving around. So today we're going to bring together everything we've done so far, and you're going to deliver a speech at the end of today's session. You're going to have an audience, you've got your classmates here, so I really want you to think about how to come up with solutions that, you know, we can get involved with.
Executive,
choose.
No, we'll abolish currency. What does that change? It just makes everyone poor. What do you have that is worth any value except money at the minute? My hat. My hat.
So the more women are involved, the longer the treaties last.
Yeah, so it's just like.
Where's that from? That's really interesting.
Just I don't know if I don't know if I can trust that. But the percentage isn't too high to seem like.
I would definitely fact check it if you can.
Overall, if we have good values, the people will come.
I also, one of the other things I think that's the solution. I don't think Ethan would agree with me here, but I think maybe get rid of the flags as much. I feel like the community partly, with all the flags and stuff, I feel like they sometimes alienate themselves and make people opposed to them. I think that if they were just like more normal, maybe.
Whoa, hold on.
No, if the movement was less in your face, I think it'd be more accepted.
So you're blaming the trans people for transphobia?
No, not all of it. No.
It's a difficult thing to try to, and there's a lot of conversation at the moment around identity politics and whether it should be divisive or bring people together, and it's a really.
Exactly, I think it's too divisive.
Yeah.
I agree with you that it's divisive, and I agree with you that some aspects of the community definitely try and alienate themselves. But I don't think that removing flags is going to change people's opinion.
So since you and Ethan have been paired up, has your opinion on trans people changed at all?
I think it did change. I think that people should be able to be transgender if they want to be and stuff, which is fine. I've not got anything wrong with that, but I still am kind of a bit apprehensive as to the way it's like implemented socially into society. You could have like fun days where adults can come and do fun, and it's not primarily based around transgenders, but it's organised by transgenders. Do you know what I mean? So people come spend time around transgenders. They can be like maybe a stand or something where with leaflets about transgender health and things, and then people might think transgenders aren't like as bad as I thought they were. I had once with a racist where they got him to spend time with the Muslims, and by the end he wasn't racist anymore. So it's taking that approach.
So I know for some people, standing up here and talking is not your favourite thing to do. It definitely didn't used to be my favourite thing to do. And you all speak up in front of each other all the time in class, so I hope that it isn't too big of a leap to come up here and speak.
I really enjoy public speaking. I do enjoy it. I like giving speeches. It gives me a real sense of leadership and power over my peers. And instead of reducing, reusing and recycle, it's time to swap, save and sell the products you buy. That's it.
Poverty. It's really bad. As we all know, there's a lot of people suffering around the world. And why is that?
Would you like to go next? Go around the room this way.
Do we have a choice?
You don't have to go next.
Go next, Ollie.
I mean, please don't. Pretty much got the entire thing written anyway. Yeah, I'll just
Give a round of applause.
Okay, when I came out as trans, it didn't exactly go to plan. I was bullied a lot, and as a consequence, 2 years later, in January of 2020, due to the constant harassment, bullying and arguments I received at home and in school, I ended up, unfortunately, attempting suicide.
In 2021, over 370 trans youth committed suicide, mainly due to unaccepting environments. The government removing trans people from the Equality Act will only work to encourage this type of mortality rate.
Moving forward, we're campaigning to protect trans equality and integrate transgender education into the secondary school curriculum. If we teach children the science behind being transgender, it's less likely that they'll see anything wrong with it, and therefore trans discrimination will be lowered, as will the mortality rate surrounding it. And hopefully future politicians won't see such an issue in people being different.
Thank you so much for sharing your personal story. I can imagine that wasn't easy to do, so thank you.
I think when you first start not debating but more arguing with people, like before taking a course like this, and it's more like one side versus the other, you have to be right, you have to come up with a concise argument so that you can put your say in, and then you have to stick to that saying because otherwise you're wrong and you can't be wrong. And when you do a course like this, it feels more like it's like a more healthy environment to learn and understand other people's view. And if you were to change your view, that's okay, because it's not one versus the other.
I think I've become a lot more accepting of other people's viewpoints and a lot more tolerable of other people's opinions, because I now know that there's like, I always knew there was a counter argument to it, I just didn't want to know, I guess, but now I'm obviously being more exposed to that. I think it's really helping me develop.
I am honestly super impressed. Every single one of those speeches was fantastic. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Rebecca. Thank you.
Political education in the UK is patchy. Some places it's delivered and it's amazing. In other places they do an hour a year.
There aren't many institutions, organisations that forcibly pull people together into a physical place and to talk with each other. You can live your life very isolated and within your own bubbles much more than ever. Education's one of those few places that still does do that. If you get a section, particularly if it's a section of society that feels they're ignored, it's not that they don't want to be heard, it's just that they're not being heard, and so they'll find other outlets for that.
People were taking these lessons and going out to different classes and outside and having conversations about what they believe in, and that was very nice. Interesting.
Great, thank you. And then if you can just go from like a straight face to sort of a big smile for us.
My foot is numb.
Alright, can you give us a... Thank you. Thank you very much. Great answers. Very good.
Outside sources.
Yeah, access to information and role models, absolutely.
Well, like loads of claps. One clap.
I don't know what to say. Like, I need like a follow-up question for that because there's so many things to talk about for what we talked about.
That's right. Just when he's not much of a critical thinker, I had to hold myself back from laughing.
Did I end that really weirdly?
That was great. Cool. Yeah, I think that's it.
Yeah?
Yeah. So we can cut there.